Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost and welcome back to some more Let's Play Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Last time, we started to make our way back through Snowhead Temple here with our newly acquired fire arrows to go ahead and collect the remaining stray fairies and make our way up to the very top here with our boss key in hand. So now with that said, we are ready to fight the boss here of Snowhead Temple. So let's go ahead and make our way inside the boss's chambers. Wow, even the boss couldn't be spared from being frozen. That doesn't look that comfortable. I guess I should help a guy out here and unfreeze him. So, let's go ahead and use our fire arrows to melt this guy out. Meet the boss of Snowhead Temple, the masked mechanical monster, Goht. So, Goht here is an interesting guy. He runs around this entire arena here, non-stop. So, I say non-stop and he immediately stops to shoot me. I was gonna get to that part here, impatient. So, he runs around the arena here until you hit him. Once you hit the guy, then you can go ahead and start wailing on him either with the Goron form or with your sword. So, he will stop every once in a while there, as he demonstrated before, if he's too far away from Link and try to shoot you with electrical beams, but it is kind of rare for him to do that. The only times I really see Goht use that attack is in the very beginning of the fight. After that, it's a lot rarer to see that attack, so not really something I see all that often. This guy is kind of hard to target. You really only target him when he's down on the ground. Hurry, chase after it. Even if it means throwing your own body into it, do it so it'll stop. As Tattle said, that's pretty much the only way you're getting Goht to stop here. You need to run into the guy by using your spikes here as Goron, but you need to do it from an aerial attack. If you just run to this guy on the ground, he will just get upset at you, try to shoot you, and speed up. So you need to use these ramps to your advantage here. But at this point, Goht's almost dead. He's trying to kill us now with a bunch of different hazards. He's just pushing down stalactites. We got boulders here. We got bombs being pooped out from the behind. That last one's a little disturbing. I don't like that part. But yeah, we can also hit this guy not just with our Goron ability, but we can also hit him with arrows too. It's a little bit hard to make the shot, but we can hit him with an arrow if we have good aim. It's easier to do this when the guy is stopped, but as mentioned earlier, this guy doesn't really stop for much. So it is kind of hard to hit him with an arrow in general, especially when he's moving around like this. This is our chance right here to hit him on a straight path. So I'm going to try to aim, shoot him, and there you go. That did some damage, and since we use fire arrows, that does more damage than a normal arrow. It's about twice as much damage. So at this point, Goht should be just about dead. So we're going to just try to kill him off here as quickly as possible at this point so he doesn't kill us. There we go, got him. Just run to him a couple more times with our spikes, and that is it. Goht is defeated. After you defeat the guy, this goat kind of goes in a little bit of a rampage. So much so, he doesn't really know what's going on and crashes into a wall, burying himself to death. What a way to go. So now we gotta figure out where he crashed, because where he crashes determines where our warp point is and our heart container. Collecting this will make 10. So there you go, that's in our heart to our collection. But now that we beat Goht here and buried his corpse under a pile of rocks, which is very morbid, I think it's time for us to fight him one more time. But this time, however, fight him in the 3DS version of Majora's Mask. Alright, here we are in the 3DS version, ready to fight Goht here once again. This fight here starts off in the same way as it does in the N64 version. We need to go ahead and free this guy from his icy prison, and then the fight will begin. A little bit of a difference here in this cutscene. We can see the eye in the back of Goht's back. So you can already imagine where this is going. This is a very similar setup to the Odawa fight in the 3DS version here. So, now that we've freed the guy from his prison, let's go ahead and put on our Goron mask and chase after him. One thing to note about the Goron control here in this version is that we don't need to hold down the A button to continuously roll. We can just go ahead and press the button once, and that is it. Hurry! Chase after it! Even if it means throwing your own body into it, do it so it'll stop. Thanks for the advice there, Tattle. Unfortunately, getting that advice from Tattle in the middle of the fight does kill your speed. So if you want this enemy description, maybe do it when you're both stopped. Because now, unfortunately, I have to spin around this whole area again and try to catch up to the guy. We did hit Goht here, but as you see, nothing's really happening. We're damaging the boss, but we're not actually getting the guy stunned. He is moving much quicker now, so we need to do an even better job catching up here. So that's a downside. We can do damage right now, but it does take a couple hits to knock the guy down. Once you do so, then the eye is exposed on Goht's back, and now we can attack it at will. So we can attack with our Goron punches, which are slightly different in this version too. They drastically sped up the attacking animation of the Goron form here, so it's much faster now to punch away with this form. I do like this change because the Goron attacks were a little sluggish. They were powerful, but it did take a little while to come out. If you go ahead and attack from the very top here using the Goron form, just jump off one of these ramps, you will expose the eye, and now we can shoot with arrows here. I recommend shooting the fire arrows specifically at this eye because fire arrows will do more damage compared to normal arrows. And you can get about 3 hits in before Goht goes away here, but unfortunately for me, Goht landed in such a weird spot, I couldn't really take advantage of things all that well. It was hard to aim. Fortunately, we got hit there, but we got hit on the slope with the energy ball, so we were able to continuously move down. Not really slowing us down too much. It was still enough for us to, unfortunately, have to chase after Goht here once again. There we go. We got another hit in, so now let's take off our mask and get our arrows ready and start shooting away the eye here. This eye just looks really weird when you attack it because it inflates like a balloon, and it makes me feel a little uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie. You know what else makes me feel uncomfortable? In this version, they really emphasize Goht's butt. I'm not making this up. You can see where the bombs get pooped out now. It's really weird. I don't know why they had to make it a glowing hole in this version. It just doesn't look right to me. I don't like that change much. They didn't need to do that. Go ahead and shoot the eye once more here. It's actually a very good spot for us to do damage. It's much easier to aim, and there you go. Goht has been defeated. I feel for the most part this fight's very similar to the N64 counterpart. The eye does make things a little more annoying because now you don't have the easiest time attacking Goht when he's stunned, because now you have to hit a very specific area, making it a little more tedious. But unlike the Adabo fight, you can still hurt Goht in many ways. A lot of the ways are similar in the N64 version of the game as well. So I feel like out of all the boss fights that has been changed, Goht hasn't really seen that many changes for the most part. But there you go. That's the boss here at Snowhead Temple. Now we got ourselves our heart container here. And let's go ahead and get our remains here of the dungeon. You seized Goht's remains. You have just freed the innocent spirit that this dark mask had kept imprisoned within the body of evil Goht. What exactly are all of you? Guardians. Guardians? So, you're protective gods? That's why you're in the temples. But why are the protective gods... No, wait! Are you listening to me? Hey! Wait! Looks like the feeding god has now freed this area of its internal winter, but I do have one great important question that needs to be answered. How did the Goron up there get frozen again? Dude, we froze you out. You should have just went inside the gravesite. Why were you still standing outside? I don't understand these guys. Why? As you can see now, that invisible section over there with the ladders is now visible without lots of troops. So there's a big difference in the area. The snowy conditions of this place made that invisible. So now without snow, yeah, it's visible. Big difference. But with the Dangero's mask, we can actually talk to this frog now. I've been waiting for you, Dangero. Forgive me, am I mistaken, but it looks like you lost a little weight. As you can see, Dangero, the long winter has ended, and spring has finally come to these mountains. Let us begin our course. Unfortunately, it seems not all of our members have gathered. Perhaps it is because winter was too long. They must not have realized that spring has come to the mountains. And when the great Dangeros come for us too, what a pity. Where in the world could the other members be? And what could they be doing? Well, unfortunately for us, we don't know where those other frogs are in question, so we'll have to remember that one for later. Here we can see on our map, there is a chest behind the waterfall. Where is it, you may ask? Right here. Who needs a lens of truth? Just played the game for like 20 years. That's how you know Red Rupee's here. How nice. So now, since this area is not frozen anymore, we can go ahead and explore this area to our heart's content without having to worry about the snow now, which makes walking around a lot easier. I wonder what this Gotham Stone has to say. Small lost horse seems to be taken in by Romani Ranch, south of town. I kind of know that one already. Thanks for rubbing salt in the wounds about my horse. What'd you get? I'll flatten you down here with my Goron punch. So now, since it is springtime, this pathway up to Damani's grave is opened up to us. So we can go ahead and take it all the way up here. And before we continue anymore, I see a Gossip Stone. I don't want to fall down with the bows. No, I don't want to deal with them. Let's not do that. I want to go ahead and talk to this Gossip Stone here and see what it has to say. Frogs that are supposed to gather in the mountains when spring arrives are elsewhere. You need Dangero's mask to bring them together. The frogs in Clocktown, the Swamp, Woodfall Temple, and Great Bay Temple make 4. Interesting. So we know where 3 of those frogs are already located. Unfortunately, that 4th one, we have no idea where it is. We have not been to the Great Bay Temple, so we don't know where it's located inside of that dungeon. But we will have to remember that for later. For now, inside this grotto is a red rupee. Always nice to get one of those. Get out of here. Continue climbing up this area, which in order to do so, we do need to use the Goron form here because those slopes are a little too slippery. Oh, sure, now these Gorons leave. Now they leave the area. They didn't go back here inside of the gravesite. No, they just left. As soon as this area was opened up, they went down the shortcut here and made their way back over the Goron village, which is the smart thing to do. But holy crap, why didn't they just wait out winter inside of Damani's gravesite? It's at least warmer in there than out in the freezing tundra. I mean, come on, man. That's a little insane. So, I want to go ahead real quick. I want to put down a bomb right here next to this tree. And doing so, we'll reveal another grotto. I want to jump down here, because inside this grotto is another chest. I always like to pop inside these grottos here to see what's inside these chests. This one has a bomb chew. Singular bomb chew. Thanks, game. I appreciate it. Can I have like another 9 to make a full bomb bag's worth of bomb chews? That would be preferred. What's with these single bomb chews, man? I don't understand this game. Why they just gotta give me one of the chests? That's just useless. So, we want to make our way back over the Snowhead now, because over here, we got our stray fairies to deposit. And in this area is where our fairy fountain's located. But, notice our invisible Goron friend here is back. And he's not invisible anymore, so we can go ahead and talk to him. Darmani? Wonder what I've been doing this whole time. I can't remember a thing since I went out to look around Snowhead to figure out why spring wasn't coming. What am I doing sitting in a place like this? I hate to break the news to you, buddy, but you're the one who caused this never-ending winter with your freezing breath. He was the reason why there was a blizzard. He was making the blizzard. But sadly, as he says, he doesn't remember a single thing, so he doesn't even remember he was the one making said blizzard. That's sad. But you know what's not sad, though? This fairy fountain. I didn't mean to throw a bomb. Okay, well, I guess we're doing this now. Sure. Sometimes your finger just nudges a C button and you pull out explosives. It just happens. Oh, wise young one, I am the Great Fairy of Wisdom. Thank you for returning my broken and shattered body to normal. As thanks, I shall enhance your magic power. So, remember after we beat Woodfall, and I mentioned that there was a slight difference in Great Fairy powers at the time? In the 3DS version, beating Woodfall and collecting all the Stray Fairies would grant you double magic. That is because they swapped the Great Fairies of Woodfall and Snowhead in the 3DS version. So now, in this version, we have ourselves twice as much magic power as before. We now have enhanced magic. Come see me whenever you're overcome by weariness. So now we finally have our double magic here in the N64 version of Majora's Mask, something we've had in the 3DS version now for quite some time. So as you can imagine, this fairy fountain is where you would get the Great Spin Attack in the 3DS version of the game. Alright, so here we are at the outside of Snowhead Temple here in the 3DS version. And before we make our way to the Great Fairy here, I kind of want to point out this giant old fence in front of the entry point here to Snowhead Temple itself. They put this fence here, making it basically impossible for you to be falling over once you get to this specific section of the ramp getting into Snowhead Temple. In the N64 version, it was very easy to fall off the side here entering Snowhead, and then you have to climb all the way back up to make another shot at getting into the entry point here. So in the 3DS version, they put a big old fence here, and they increased the amount of the slope that's on this section of this little roundabout section in general. So it's basically impossible now to fall off once you get to this section of Snowhead Temple's entry point. I just wanted to point that out, as it's a weird little change, but it is a nice one nonetheless. So let's go ahead and enter into the fairy fountain here in the 3DS version of the game and get our Stray Fairy reward. As you can see here, we got ourselves pink Stray Fairies, which was the color of the Stray Fairies from Woodfall Temple in the N64 version. So I think you can see where things are going here. Oh, strong young one, I am the Great Fairy of Power. Thank you for returning my broken and shattered body to normal. As thanks, I shall grant you prowess with this new sword technique. So, as I mentioned when we got the Woodfall Stray Fairies, they swapped the rewards of Stray Fairies between different dungeons in the N64 and 3DS version. So at this point, we have now gotten the same abilities in both versions of the game. Here in the 3DS version, for getting all the Stray Fairies in Woodfall Temple, you get yourself the Mastered Spin Attack. So now in the 3DS version, when you go ahead and hold down the B button, you'll charge up your Spin Attack in a second level, making it stronger, and it covers a wider area than before. So there you go. Now we have the Great Spin Attack here in the 3DS version, just like how we have it in the N64 version, and now we have double magic in the N64 version, like we do in the 3DS version of the game. Come see me again whenever you are overcome by weariness. So now we can go ahead and demonstrate here just how that great spin attack works. If we hold down the charge here, we will see now our sword is glowing orange. So now when we let go, we have a very big radius, even though it's a little hard to see with the lighting here in the Great Fairy Fountain. But you get the idea here. It's a much bigger spin attack. So now we have the great spin attack and double magic in both versions of the game. And at this point, the Stray Fairy rewards will be the same between both versions of Majora's Mask, so there's no more big differences in Stray Fairy rewards between versions going forward. But now with that said, and now we have a reward from the Great Fairy in both versions of the game, we're going to go ahead and end things here. Next time on Let's Play Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, we'll go ahead and make our way back through Mountain Village now in the springtime and see what has changed. I'll see you guys next time.